Uh, I mean, first off, I guess I should start. Short Walk to Pluto is your name, and I I'm an older guy. Obviously, you guys are a young group, but boy, you play some songs that really hit home for somebody in my demographic. So I guess maybe my first question is, you are performing original music. You have 8 songs out, and we'll talk about those throughout the course of the video. But what is your musical background, and where did you get this sense of some of these older songs that might resonate with a particular audience? And you do a great job on all your covers, by the way. They're very well chosen and very well performed. So whoever wants to feel that, it's fine.
Yeah, so you know what, when it comes to kind of our musical taste, I think we've all kind of gravitated towards maybe what our parents just happened to be playing growing up, and then over time, I think we all had the intuition to sort of take it upon ourselves to research into more of that music and generate a musical sense of our own. And I think as we went through school and high school and university, we all kind of sort of found our way with respect to music and learned and isolated what our taste was. And thankfully we kind of found one another, and we all found that we were able to feed off of one another's musical taste and sort of learn different styles of music and different artists out there that sort of hit different bones for each of us, I guess. And so that's sort of what has bonded us over time, and we've used that to our advantage. Obviously, on social media, we've been able to put out a handful of covers, a handful of songs that I think don't just gravitate towards us, but gravitate towards a pretty broad audience too.
Yeah, definitely good parenting from our side.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Just good parenting from our side, definitely. We've got parents that, really cultivated the idea of, wanting to do this and giving us the tools and the songs to inspire us. So yeah. Hey, thanks, parents.
Well, it's great
Also,
that you recognize them. So
we're also just big like music history nerds. Like, I think when I met Jake and we both like Rush and Guns N' Roses and stuff like that, like that was a big bonding kind of experience there. And like to study the history and study like the roots of the songs that we kind of idolize, like that, like this is kind of our way of like giving back, I think, maybe a little bit to the community. And I think honestly, like what I've noticed is it's not just the older generation that loves that kind of stuff. Um like I think everyone kind of identifies with that era of songwriting from 70s to 90s. I think it's become very timeless, and I think multi-generational in a lot of sense.
yeah, I had kind of a boomer moment yesterday at a record store in Buffalo where I said that, when I was growing up, everybody was in a band. We were all in bands, and you just don't see that as much with people anymore. And in some ways, it's comforting to see just 4 people having fun in a band and playing songs. So, how did the 4 of you guys meet in the first place? Did you go to school together, or is it just? Well, I mean, what's the story there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
so
I'm
there
oh,
it
go
is.
ahead, Dan, if you want to tell it.
No, no, go ahead, Max. It's just I knew that as soon as I started talking, one of you guys was going to start talking.
How
Anyways,
it
go ahead,
always
Max.
goes. You're like, no one's starting. All right, my turn. Okay. Yeah, no, I met Jake and I were in the same grade at high school. And as I said, we kind of were big Rush fans and stuff like that. He played drums, I played guitar, so there was a natural fit there, and we started jamming and had musical chemistry right off the bat. And we were like, okay, let's form a band here. In the later stages of high school, so we knew Danny knew what a bass guitar was, so we asked him as a natural first choice. And he was in the jazz band at the school, which Jake was also in at the time. And we played like pep rallies at the school. We were like the backing band for a bunch of stuff, and we played classics, some AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, all that kind of stuff. And then after high school, we were like, okay, let's try to take this more seriously. We needed like a real, powerhouse front person, right? So we experimented with a whole bunch of different people, and then a few years ago, I met Emma, and we were like, oh, perfect fit. Let's make this work. Let's make this happen. So we asked her to join, and yeah, we had fantastic chemistry off the bat. And Emma's a lovely person, so we all got along very well. And from there it was off to the races. Let's start writing songs. Let's put music out, and let's start making our online presence and live presence known.
Yeah, and Emma, I have to say your vocals are absolutely incredible. I mean, they really are. And I think what really strikes me, as I'm sure the other guys in the band realized when they started playing with you, is your ability to, first of all, you don't oversing, and but you can handle a huge range of material, whether it's this sort of lovely, almost folkish ballad to, like you said, a sort of Rush influenced rocker. Do you have any formal vocal training, or is this just something at some point somebody said, "Yo, you got an amazing voice. You should be in a band"?
Yeah, it's a collection of things. I started in choir when I was very little, and my the conductor, she said, she doesn't have perfect pitch, but she has relative pitch. She can hear a harmony really well, which is cool, and is good for a young singer, which helps you grow later. And then I started doing vocal lessons, and I've been doing them for about 15 years now, which is awesome. And I have two vocal coaches right now, which is also kind of cool. Shout out to Marnie and Amanda. And yeah, like I started with like musical theater. That's how I got like the roots. And then I was just like, oh, I can do contemporary. I did opera. I did basically anything under the singing umbrella I've done. And I've had a lot of, family who say like, don't oversing, don't hurt yourself. Make sure you know how to warm up, warm down, take care of your voice. And that's how I feel at least I've cultivated this strong voice. So I appreciate all the advice I've been given and, the lessons I've had. So it's clearly it's doing something well.
Oh, for sure. And you got it. That's, I mean, a good voice is only part of it. Obviously, the chemistry of the musicians behind you is important as well. So to some degree, you've got to think to yourself, wow, this really worked out well. Because, I mean, as a unit, you guys not only are great musicians, but you seem to, especially from cultivating the social media thing, the social media presence. I shouldn't say the thing. I'm sounding like a boomer, but your social media presence, you've conveyed this personality, which I think is important as well, because fans can relate to you as human beings, not just somebody in a studio cranking out tunes, if that makes sense.
Well, it's funny you say that because, like, we've always, I think there's a big habit of a lot of people to sort of, idolize or maybe like put on a pedestal their inspirations, and at the end of the day, like we're all just very much so regular people with, regular lives beyond music, and I think you really get that impression when you see our stuff on social media. At least we try to represent that. And it's funny because we kind of make that attempt by almost not trying at all. It's an element of just being ourselves, and hopefully the message is conveyed in that way.
Oh, for sure. And Max, obviously, I want to talk about your guitar playing too. It seems, uh, especially with some of the original studio stuff, is that you have a kind of a good ear in terms of which tone you need for each song, and you're not afraid to kind of test some things out as opposed to falling in a rut. Because I think guitarists and bands, for that matter, can fall into a rut in terms of a particular sound. But you've done a really good job in terms of putting out some layers out there that are very, very interesting and great to listen to.
Well, thank you so much. I work pretty damn hard, as we all do, on our tones. And I have to say, you brought up studio experimentation. I actually do zero studio experimentation because I do all the experimentation at home before I go into the studio, because studio costs money. But yeah, no, like that refinement and I try to wear my influences on my sleeve a little bit, but also try to like bring in my own flavors in there. Like, I'm a huge Alex Lifeson, Ian Thornley, yeah, EVH, Satriani fan, but like I never try to just do what they would do. I always try to like make like how is that influencing what like I'm doing. And with art, it's all a reflection of the self, so you gotta put yourself out there. But yeah, the tones are great, and I have to say, I think for our upcoming projects, like it's really going to be, a fantastic showcase of like, some of the best stuff that we can do.
So I think, is Danny the only one we haven't heard from so far? Is he the quiet bass player?
Jake is the quiet.
No, that's Jake is the drummer. Yeah, I'm Danny here. I'm bass. I think
you're the
you've
bass.
heard plenty from me, almost too much from me, I think, actually.
Oh no, there's never too much. So we haven't heard from Jake then?
Yes, Jake on drums.
Where's Jake? Have I even seen what he looks like here? Where's Jake?
He's right here.
Oh, there you are. How are you, Jake? Actually, I was just listening in the car on the way to my day job today. Very impressed with your drumming, and I'm not just saying that. It sounds great, and you do a great job kind of keeping everything together. I'll throw this question at you because it's on the list and I haven't asked it yet. What's the origin of the name? Where'd the name come from?
That's a Dan question.
Maybe you haven't heard enough from me. I don't know, but no, it's funny. The band name was sort of on a whim. I'd actually had to come up with the name for a different project in high school, and I promise it has no affiliation with 30 Seconds to Mars. At the time, I had not heard of the band, but yeah, we had come up with it, or I'd come up with it, I guess, just on a whim. I think I was studying for exams in high school at the time, and sort of procrastinating my time away, and I was reading up a real lot on space, because what else would you do when you're trying to procrastinate your studying? And yeah, so I guess the name kind of just came to me that way. But I wish there was more exciting a story really to offer than that. Unfortunately, there's not much to it. We like the name, we like the imagery that we can kind of associate with it, and we dived off that diving board.
Was there any ones that are on the cutting room floor that you'd be willing to share?
You know
Jake,
what?
You should tell them about our fake band names.
Yeah, those are good. The fake band names are almost better than the real band name, to tell you the truth.
Jake, what were they?
Our cover band, we wanted to call The Crates for fun. We have a fun comedy band called Edumacation System. We have a soul, like a 70s soul thing called Soaked in 76. And then there's a couple like heavy hardcore bands that I can't say the name of because it's not appropriate for radio.
No, Jake, remember our band Tomfoolery.
Oh
Tom
no,
Foolery.
that's the album. That's an album.
Oh, that's the album. Okay, that's the album name. Sorry.
So that's so deep in the lore that we're getting this.
Hey, my name's Thom, so I like that name. I've been accused of some tomfoolery.
As we all have.
So I noticed you had a Hemispheres album on your wall there. I should make you jealous and turn my camera around because I have a signed copy of Hemisphere with all three of the guys, one of my prized pieces in my record collection. But I digress. That's just me bragging. But anyhow.
Best record. Hot take.
Oh my goodness. I mean, again, speaking of guitar tones and all that stuff, I feel like Alex is the poor guy that never gets the credit he's due in Rush. I mean, it's always all about, Geddy and Neil, and, Alex is just sitting there, just doing his job, doing an incredible job, keeping it together. Well, I'll throw a couple of songs at you. Some of the original ones that I really, my favorite one so far is You're Not the Only One. Just man, what a great song. Whoever wants to kind of talk about that one. I mean, it just, the way it's mixed, I mean, everything, it's just such a great song.
That was a fun one to put together. That was a riff I had written a couple of years before it was released. That intro riff that I'd kind of been playing around with an arrangement. And I brought it to Danny to put some bass on it, put some lyrics on it. And I remember I just started looping the verse, or maybe it was the chorus, some part of it. And he just starts, like, the way Danny will write lyrics sometimes, like when we're writing in person, is he'll just start mumbling stuff and words will just form occasionally. And sometimes it's gibberish and nonsense, but sometimes it's really good. And I remember he started looping "You're Not the Only One." I was like, oh my God, that's a hook. That's part of the song. That could be the chorus. So we built off of that. And yeah, the production of that one was super fun. Recorded it here in Toronto at Iguana Studios with Diago Lima, and co-produced by him and myself. And that was a really fun one to come together.
York Lee,
It's
that's another one. Oh, there was you.
Sorry?
Are you bringing the saxophone player to Buffalo with you, or?
Max
Well,
is
I play the sax.
Oh, you play the sax on that. Okay, because I didn't know if there was a.
I didn't play it on that, but I play sax live. I'm not good enough to do the studio sax recording.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I know there was a live video that I saw that there was sax in it, but I guess I didn't realize that you were playing it. I thought they had brought in another guy. And then York Lee, that one. Maybe tell me a little bit about the background of that song.
Yeah, I could speak to that one a little bit. So York Lee is with reference to my neighborhood, the neighborhood I grew up here in Toronto. And I sort of wanted to make the lyrics embody a little bit of kind of how I felt growing up. And in a way, Yorkley is a lot of a coming of age story for myself. And so I kind of wanted to represent that through the lyrics. But as far as the instrumentation goes, Mac, that was another one of those things where it was a riff Max had been working on for a long time prior to when we had actually released it. And the arrangement sort of came together pretty neatly in pretty short order. But it was something that I think we really wanted to exercise our rush muscles on, I think, a little bit, and kind of go off the deep end a little bit with our instrumentation. So we definitely made an effort to make it as, I wouldn't say complicated, but as showboaty a song as we probably could with respect to all of our instrumentation, from vocals through drums, etc.
Yeah, I noticed you're not afraid to go over like the 4 minute mark. I mean, there's even songs I, probably could see going 8 to 10, but I think that's a lot harder to sell in this day and age in terms of, the listening habits of people and whatnot. For our last one, we'll talk about with the originals, Emma, Harder to Breathe. Wow, was that, you can't tell me you did that vocal in one take. I mean, that's really it's a stunning vocal performance on that particular song.
Thank you. Yeah, it's fun because it's also it's a duet, right? So I also get to play. It's lots of fun. And that song predates me being in the band. They showed me the demo for it, which was, they showed me 3 songs, one of them being Yorkley and the other one being Phantom Lover. And like I heard them and I was just like, wow, these songs are amazing. These guys really know how to write and work together and mesh together. And I was really happy that I could, be that fourth piece, that glue that, brought it all together. Because I think all the stuff that we've done thus far as a group has really just, translated super well. So yeah, that song's fun. We don't play it very often because I just play keys and I'm not a very confident keyboard player, but I'm working on it.
I think that song showcases like Emma's versatility as a vocalist because it goes from everything from like big crazy belt to super soft prettiness. And I think being a band that likes to play around with different genres and play around with a lot of different sounds, like you mentioned back, our sound is pretty diverse, pretty eclectic, and we want to keep it that way ideally. Having a vocalist that can do that was like a really big test for her, I think, and for the band, and she nailed it. So
yeah, I mean, think in terms of your sound. I mean, in as much as you guys are diverse and eclectic, you're still very listenable. I think sometimes bands fall into that trap where they try a little bit too hard to be creative and then they lose the song in the process. You guys still have a good sense of what a song is and what a song should be. I mean, again,
comes first.
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of the live show, I guess we'll first just ask a regional question. You did the shout video for Buffalo and that kind of stuff. Any experiences in Buffalo? Is this going to be your first trip to the city that birthed chicken wings, or what do we know about our hometown here?
Jake, you want to take that one? You're probably a little more.
I've been a couple times. Had a hockey tournament there when I was younger. Went to one of the World Juniors was there a couple of years ago. We went, which is funny because they had like a village, like a World Junior village set up right beside where Ironworks is. So I've been to that area before. It's by the water. It's great. Saw a Bison's game one time when all like the J superstars now were younger, which was cool. Like I didn't know then that they were going to be superstars, but yeah, been there a couple times.
That is so cool. That's so cool that you're coming back to the place that you had the hockey tournament. So
yeah.
Are you the only one that's been in the area?
I think just driving, like going shopping and things like that. I've never got to stay in Buffalo, so I'm quite excited because I heard really good things and I hear it's really fun. And I'm a hockey fan too, so hey, if we don't have time, but I would love to go see a Buffalo Bills game at some point.
You'll notice. I think a lot of Canadians tend to sort of spend a day in Buffalo to do their shopping, take advantage of Black Friday sales or Boxing Day sales wherever possible. I don't know if many have necessarily come through and stayed over. I think this is definitely our first time staying over, so this is it's going to be a good time for the group, and we're looking forward to not just Buffalo, but the rest of the tour as well. It's going to be our first experience sort of on the road over a long period of time, and we're looking forward to seeing the crowds firsthand, and hopefully they kind of build off of our experiences from or our most recent experience from New York City when we went back down there in November. So.
Yeah, I mean, difference between New York City and Buffalo, not just size, but I mean, Buffalo, because we were so close to Toronto, we used to get all those Toronto radio stations, and with the CanCon laws, a lot of acts like, Tragically Hip was playing our hockey arena, and then they go up the road to Cleveland and they're playing a House of Blues. So, there's definitely a sort of a kindred, we're kindred spirits in terms of musicality, I suppose, in bands. So I imagine that's going to really bode well for you in terms of starting off the tour. Combination of, covers and originals. I mean, how are you guys constructing this set list?
I think right now we are probably only going to have one, maybe two covers in the set. I think it's going to be about an hour. One of them is a song that we're actually going to be releasing properly in about a month or so. So keep your eye out for that. It's going to be the first release of the upcoming album and the only cover on the record. So more details about that coming soon. But one cover I will confirm that is usually on the set is You Ought to Know by Alanis Morissette. Emma does a fantastic Alanis Morissette, and we play around a lot with the instrumentation and add like a lot of funk to it and some like Jimi Hendrix inspired blues and spots. And that's always a really fun one. But other than that, we're going to be playing a lot of our original material. You're Not the Only One is going to be on there, for sure. That's always a crowd pleaser. But also a lot of our upcoming records. So we're really proud of some of the writing and the songs that we're going to have coming out over the next little bit. And I think this is going to be the big opportunity to showcase a lot of them pre-release to the States.
What is the timeline in terms of I think as I said, you have 8 singles out, if I'm correct. How long before you come out with a proper album?
The album is done. We're just in the last stages of mixing it, and the first single is going to be out in February, it looks like. So after that, we're going to have about several more singles coming out after that. I'm trying to keep it still very hush hush because we haven't made any formal announcements. But there are going to be singles coming out over after that, and then the record hopefully will be out midway through the year.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure everybody's looking forward to it. Hopefully it's on vinyl, because it looks like I'm not the only vinyl collector in this conversation, for sure. Anything anybody like to say to anybody thinking about coming out to the show, and we'll wrap with that.
We put on a great show, and we're really enthusiastic about the fact that we have Tim Britt joining us, the fact that we have Cami Clune joining us. It's going to be an absolute party of a night, and we're really looking forward to kicking off this tour. So, the more of you guys that come out, I promise that you're going to have a great time listening to a lot of great music. So coming out and, get a chance to meet us firsthand, face to face, because, we're going to be doing this hopefully a lot more frequently soon. So.
Awesome. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much. Again, I'm very excited for you. You've done a lot of things right, and I'm sure you have a wonderful future. This is not an easy business. My son is a drummer in a bunch of bands in the Buffalo area, and it's a lot of hard work. And, it's hard to just kind of not only capture an audience, but all the rehearsals, and you said vocal lessons and all those other things, and things that you've had to give up to get to this point. You certainly should all be proud of your accomplishments and of course, we'll back to where we started. Obviously you had some great parents as well, so they probably deserve a lot of credit.
Yeah.
Thom, really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for having us, and looking forward to meeting you down in Buffalo, man.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.